This video is Revelation 6, and it's been taking me forever to put this together this week. Anyway, I really wanted to get this video out. This is going to be the last part of our end time study for the next 2 weeks because I'm going to be going on vacation to visit family out of town. But while I'm gone, I'm going to have my laptop. So still feel free to leave a comment down below, or feel free to email me at the address that's down below. Because anyway, when I come back in a couple of weeks, we'll start up again with Revelation 7. Okay, but before I leave, this is going to be the last part that I'm going to do in this series. Now, I may do a video maybe a little off topic, maybe before I leave. I'm not sure. I got a lot of things rolling around in my head right now. Also, I have like a reminder video that I'll be putting up before I leave about, that I won't be back for 2 weeks, just in case anybody thinks I've just disappeared. Anyway, tonight we are going to cover Revelation 6. And mainly what we'll be getting into here, we're going to be talking about the four horses of the apocalypse, and just got some interesting things to cover. I was going to add pictures, I was going to add different things, and I may only add one picture only to prove a point. But I may not do that anyway. I'm having trouble with my software still, trying to merge things in. I could pop a picture in there, but once I start doing a little too much, it starts getting crazy on me. I can't turn the volume off. Like, I'll hit pause and it'll stop, but the video keeps on rolling when so anyway, it's got glitches, major glitches. So anyway, so we're going to talk about Revelation 6 tonight. And in order to do that, let's start with Zechariah 6. Okay? That is the second from the last book of your Old Testament. And I'm only going to read about 8 verses, I believe. Yes, about 8 verses. Okay, this is a vision that Zechariah is having. And it's kind of interesting and kind of similar, and that is why I am bringing this up to what we will be reading in Revelation 6. So, with that, it says in chapter 6 of Zechariah, "And I turned and lifted up mine eyes, and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out of the 2 mountains, or out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass." Now, my opinion is that we're looking at a portal entry. Okay, verse 2. "In the first chariot were red horses, and the second chariot black horses, and in the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot grizzled and bay horses." Okay, I'm guessing that we're talking about 2 different things here between grizzled and bay horses, one more sickly, one not. I don't know. Okay, and verse 4 says, "Then I answered and said unto the angel that talked with me, What are these, my Lord? And the angel answered and said unto me, These are the 4 spirits of the heavens, okay, which go forth from standing before the Lord of all the earth. The black horses which are therein go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them. And the grizzled go forth toward the south country, and the bay went forth, and sought to go, that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, Get you hence, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth. And then he cried upon me, and spake unto me, saying, Behold, these that go toward the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country. They brought peace. And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, okay, I'm not going to go on into the rest of this. What's interesting is that he sees chariots with horses that are the same colors as the horses of the apocalypse. Okay? He's got red, he's got black, he's got the grizzled and the bay horse. And anyway, he's got, what did I say? Gray, white, black, and then the grizzled and the bay color. Exactly the same thing we're talking about as we get into Revelation 6, as you'll see. Okay, but the interesting thing here in this vision, it's just kind of odd, is that he's talking about where all these horses go, because they're the four spirits of the heavens. But what's real interesting about this is he doesn't mention the red ones again. Okay, he kind of just takes the grizzled and bay horses and makes them two different groups. Doesn't say anything about the red horses here. I don't know, I just thought that was kind of odd. Okay, now we're going to go over to the book of Revelation. But what we're going to do is we're not going to stop at Revelation 6 just yet. We're going to go over to chapter 19 of Revelation. We're going to go down to verse 11. I'm going to read 3 verses here. It says, And I saw heaven opened, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were as flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God. So the rider of this red horse right here is Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ is the Word of God. When you go to the Gospel of John, it starts off, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Talks about how he dwelt among us, So, the Word of God is Jesus Christ, the rider of this particular white horse. Now, we're going to go over to Revelation 6. This is the chapter that we'll be mainly working from here tonight. The reason why, I do want to briefly mention, when I skip around other chapters in Revelation, that's because I'm not getting ahead of myself. Sometimes I do it as an explanation. Sometimes I'll do it to compare something. The book of Revelation is not perfect chronological order, as you're going to see as we go along. For instance, we have 7 bowl judgments, 7 trumpet judgments. We have 3 sets of 7 judgments. Talked specifically through different chapters. They're all the same judgment, and I will do, when I get to that, I'm going to show you how they line up. But this is John seeing the same thing 3 times, and 3 different ways. Also, the chapter we're about to get into right now, Revelation 6, is kind of, to me, like the cliff notes of what's going to happen in the rest of Revelation. Because what you're going to see here is that as soon as the judgment starts being pronounced down on the earth, it's going to kind of gather it all together into one lump sum. It would be like if somebody wrote a book and you asked me what I thought of it, and I wrote, I tried to give you the gist of what the book was about. I'd probably give you like a few paragraphs to sum up the whole story. Well, that's what we're going to be looking at here in Genesis 6. We're going to be summing up the story of where we're going to be going from here. Now, another thing about this is that I'm not going into great detail on these things. We are going to be revisiting this later on in Revelation. So, I'm going to bring other chapters in that talk about that specifically, but we're just going to read Revelation 6 as a summary. Now we get to Revelation 6. The first horse that we read about in Revelation 19, Jesus Christ, he is the rider of that white horse. However, when we get over here to Revelation 6, this isn't the same white horse. This is different, okay? Because in Revelation 19, it says in verse 12 that we just read that on his head were many crowns, okay? And obviously everything else we described is Jesus Christ, okay? He is the faithful and true. However, in Revelation 6, we're going to read about a different white horse. Now, what I'm going to do is, first I'm only going to read 2 verses, and then I have some commentary to add to that. Okay? Revelation 6. And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder. Keep that under your hat for a second. One of the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see." And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Okay? Now, before I go further, there are many theories as to what these 4 horses of the apocalypse are. Okay, there's a lot of conjecture. Okay, one view is a very spiritual view. Okay, and it has a lot to do with the people when you get into each of these colors of horses. Okay, and how the people are. There's a very spiritual point of view on it. Now, there is a very territorial view as well. Territorial, what I mean is when they talk about the white horse, for instance, they're talking about Israel. When they're talking about the red horse, they're talking about like communist China. When they talk about the black horse, they're talking about the Muslims, okay? And, well, nobody wants to claim the pale horse, right? As you'll see. Okay, so that's a point of view there, okay? That's calling it like territories is what people believe that these 4 horses represent. Another view are these 4 horses are represented as different things within Mystery Babylon. Okay, different judgments, I guess, that are coming to Mystery Babylon. And then there's this. Okay, I can't believe I didn't come to this conclusion on my own. It didn't even enter my head. And I happened to be watching a video. There's a guy on YouTube. He's called Dreamer of Dreams. He's a young guy. He's got maybe 10 videos. And he's got some very good, worthwhile information. They're only like 10-minute videos. They're not real long. But he had brought something up. And it just, I'm like, the light bulb went on. I'm like, why didn't I think of this, you know? Especially, I just got done telling you guys about the Church of Pergamos. When we talked about Satan's seat. Okay, when the Lord addresses the Church of Pergamos, he says, I know where Satan's seat is. Okay, now, here is some food for thought on the white horse. Okay, this is conjecture, but down below, first of all, when you get a chance, down below in that little box that says show more, and you click on it, I'm going to have a video linked to this that somebody else did online. It's only a couple of minutes, and it shows when all that chaos was going on in Egypt a few years back, how all of a sudden toward the end of the news, you see a rider on a white horse going through the crowd. That's creepy. And so anyway, I'm putting that and linking it down below. I've already done this video once. I tried to stick it in here. It didn't work. So here I am. I'm back at it again. If I do if I am able to put a picture, you can look up Newsweek magazine, and in a minute I'll get to that and tell you why you should look at that. Back when I did Pergamos, this is when Obama did his acceptance speech. I personally believe he's the Antichrist because he's not going anywhere. He's not. He's right across the street from the White House. He's put walls up around this home. He's still working within the shadow government behind the scenes. He's still very much a part of what's going on. And just because he took a long vacation, he's back in action again. He didn't go anywhere. Okay, so don't be fooled by that. Anyway, however, when he did his acceptance speech, he did it at the Denver Broncos Stadium. He really wanted to do it from the platform of the what's left of the replica, I guess the real Church of Pergamos, the altar of the Church of Pergamos was taken to Germany. Well, he wanted to give his acceptance speech there, but he had to do it over here. He couldn't go over to Germany and do his acceptance speech. Okay, so what he did is he had a replica. His whole stage was the replica of the Church of Pergamos. The Pergamos is the throne of Satan. Okay, if you look at different pictures online, I even showed them in my video when I was doing the videos on the 7 churches. Okay, so that's where he gave his acceptance speech, at the Denver Bronco Stadium. They brought out the mascot of the Denver Bronco Stadium. There was a reason why he did that acceptance speech. It had to be there, okay? He's not from Colorado. He hangs out in Chicago. Okay, why is he in Colorado doing the acceptance speech? Okay, they're a very blue state, for sure. And when it comes to politics, but the point is that when he did this, they brought out the horse that's the mascot for the Bronco Stadium. I'm not sure if he rode that horse. I think he rode the horse, but I'm you know, don't quote me on that. I remember when all this weirdness went down, but there was so much weirdness surrounding him. There were so much occult things surrounding him. It was like information overload with this guy. There's just too much, okay? So, but from what I recall, they brought out the horse, and okay, Barak means lightning. And I just want to remind you that in Luke 10:18, Jesus said, "I beheld Satan fall as lightning." Okay, well, Barak means lightning. When the seal was opened, we just read here in Revelation verse 1, the noise of thunder. The horse that they brought out, the mascot for the Denver Broncos, was an Arabian horse, okay? And his name was Thunder. So they brought out a white Arabian horse, Thunder, who died right after. That was the other crazy thing. So anyway, he died in 2009. And so, anyway, here you have it. Here he is sitting in Satan's seat, okay, when he is giving his acceptance speech. And here they have the horse, the mascot, whose name is Thunder. His name is Lightning, okay, and anyway, The thing is that when he ran this country, right afterwards, when he became president, he was given a crown. That's when he was given his crown, is right after that happened. Isn't that crazy? So, hopefully, if I can, I will put that picture of Newsweek right here. I believe that's a Rupert Murdoch publication. And, oh, there were others. Oh, they had him up there looking like Shiva, the god with all the arms. They had him, that's the Hindu god. They had him just in all this stuff. I mean, making him out to be a god in everything. So this is just one more thing. So yeah, from one point of view, I see Barack Obama as being the white horse of the apocalypse. And it says that this white horse was given, he went forth conquering and to conquer. That's exactly what he did to this nation. He conquered this nation. You know, he told a lot of lies. Everything he said seemed to be a lie, but one thing he said that was true is he said when he got into office, he was going to hit the ground running. Well, he did hit the ground running. He brought forth all this liberal agenda. He brought forth Muslim extremists are all over this nation. They're just setting up. I'm not kidding you. He brought the enemies from without and brought them within. He conquered is what he did, and he's still not done. He's still working behind the scenes, and we have not heard the last of this. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up as a possibility, because when we get to the next horse, there is another possibility. Okay, so now let's go to verse 4. It says, "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon, to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword." So now another point of view here, conjecture here, is that this red horse represents Donald Trump coming in next. He is the next king that's coming in, and Republicans are red, and that's who came in, and there's going to be a lot of bloodshed underneath his governance of this country. Okay, maybe not by his own hand, although he's already gone into Syria. I mean, he's already done some stuff, and but I believe on his watch is when our next false flag's coming, and that's going to be the be-all, end-all for this nation. Okay, and you can go to Jonathan Kleck's channel and find out what those are. It's going to be the bombing of New York City, and the Hoover Dam is going to explode. It's going to go over. It's going to burst. I'm sorry. It's kind of late here. Okay, so anyway, and he was given a, what does it say? He was given a great sword. Okay, so there's, I know that he's got a spear in his, oh, what do you call it? His coat of arms. He's got a spear, and you can go to John Kleck channel. He explains all of that. Okay. Verse 5, "And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see." Oh, I'm sorry. The red horse is going to be blood and war. Okay, number 5. "And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, Come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse. And he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand." Okay, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, A measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine." Okay, a conjecture about this in particular. You know, there's something I should have been doing all along. And I think before I go farther into this, I want to turn over to Matthew 24. I want to start at verse 4 through 6. As pertaining to the white horse. It says, and Jesus answered, because remember, he was asked 3 questions when these things would be, because he talked about the temple being destroyed, he talked about the end of days, and so the apostles, they asked him about all 3 of these separate things that he talks about. So, anyway, from 4 to 6, he says, and Jesus answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. Yeah. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So it's believed also that the white horse could mean military. It also could mean that the rider of the white horse comes in behind peace or religion. Okay, and obviously the crown represents a ruler. Okay, again, I think that white horse is Obama. Okay, and the red horse, we'll go to the second part of verse 6 says, and verse 7, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. Okay, and the first part of that, it says, for kingdom shall rise against kingdom, nation against nation, kingdom against nation. That would be your red horse. That's the war, okay? That's bloodshed and war coming. Okay? Now, the second half of that, when we flip back over to the red horse, it says that power was given unto him that sat on thereof to take peace from the earth, that they should kill one another. Okay, and I said that he was given a great sword. So that lines up there in Matthew. Okay, the next thing, we're getting into the black horse now. Now, it is believed, in conjecture of course, it is believed that the black horse is Islam, okay? That Islam has something to do with the black horse. Now, looking in the book of Matthew, first let's read about the black horse. We're going to be flipping back and forth, Matthew 24 and Revelation 6. When we go to verse 5, it says, and when he had opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd beast say, come and see. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. I know I already read this, but I'm going to read it again. And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the wine and the oil. Okay, let's flip over to Matthew 24. We're going to look at the second half of verse 7, and we're going to look at verse 8. It says, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places, and these are the beginnings of sorrows. Okay, so what we're looking at is weights and measures. We're looking at hyperinflation. We're looking at prices changing, okay? Changing. Now, the thing is it says, hurt not the oil and the wine. And part of the conjecture here is that maybe the rich are not affected at this point. It's you and I that are affected by the prices and the hyperinflation and trying to put the food on the table and just trying to make it. And then a famine coming. Okay, and as this is happening, it's really not affecting the elites. It's not affecting them at all. They're not feeling the pinch. They have everything. They control everything. So this ain't hitting home with them. They're causing it. They're causing a lot of this because they're working for Satan. It's the little guy that's going to get this. It's us, the sheeple, that are going to be gaining this pestilence and famine and not having enough in a day's wages to pay for anything because of hyperinflation. You know, the only time that I know of in history, I think, was in 1929 when during the Great Depression. You know, hyperinflation was hitting so quickly here that people were, the wives were like going to the jobs of the husbands to collect the money from his wages right away, because every hour the value of their money was decreasing so much. Like, you see that in little cartoons they show depicting the Great Depression, how just a whole wheelbarrow full of money wouldn't buy a loaf of bread. Okay, that's hyperinflation. I think it was Argentina. No, it's Beirut. Was it Beirut? No, it wasn't Beirut. I'm trying to think. I can't remember off the top of my head now. It's late here. I mean, I know this. I can't think. Anyway, just about in the 90s, they hit hyperinflation. Their country did. I'm trying to think what country it was. I think Argentina? I don't know. Anyway, and so everything people had in savings didn't matter. All of a sudden, their money was worthless. Okay, things where they had planned for their retirement or whatever, suddenly overnight had no value to it. That's what hyperinflation does. We're going to see it here in this country too. Okay, so anyway, so hurt not the oil and the wine. It just means that the elites, they're not affected by this. These are those that can afford the finer things in life. They're not going to be affected by this, not by this inflation. Okay? Now, let's go to verse 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And the power was given unto them over a fourth part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Okay? So now we're looking at the pale horse. This is persecution. This is tribulation. Okay? And what we are looking at is persecution on the saints here. Now, before I get there, before I continue reading about this, let's go back over to Matthew 24, and we're going to look at verses 8 through 10. It says, "All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then they shall deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another." Okay, so now you have martyrdom, and then you have people that are stabbing you in the back, so to speak. You know, people that should have had your back, members of your own household, you know, turning you in. Okay, so this is persecution. And honestly, the sad state of this persecution is that Christians will persecute Christians. The very lukewarm church, the church that doesn't need God, the touchy, good gospels, you know, people that are, you know, in the Joel Osteen type places where they don't know anything about their Bible, they don't know anything about anything. It's like Catholic Church in disguise, okay? Positive thinking, new age, you know, new agey things, you know, they don't even use a Bible there. Okay, it's going to be people that don't know the Lord, that call themselves Christian, okay, and they will persecute the Christians thinking they are doing the right thing. That's the scary part about this. Okay? So, when persecution comes and martyrdom comes, I mean, and some of this will be not taking the mark of the beast. In fact, most of it, because we're in a time where they're calling good evil and evil good. And if you notice that the way that they talk about things that are not good, that go against the Word of God, okay, they are glorifying it, okay? If you're doing anything that's part of their agenda, they will raise you up on a pedestal and, you know, and make a wonder out of you. And then if you're somebody that stands for integrity or truth, they will squash you like a bug, okay? That's why you see, you know, what's going on right now behind the scenes with all these protesters and different things. And don't think for 1 minute, some of this protesting, when it goes to even the, the white supremacists, that's all set up by shadow government. These aren't a bunch of, you know, white punks that just decided to go out there and incite an issue. They've been paid for and bought off and put out there, okay, to keep racial tension stirring. Okay, as long as you have a population that's going at it with each other, just like in The Wizard of Oz, they'll never notice the guy behind the curtain, okay? The little guy behind the curtain that's pulling the strings, they'll never see it. They're too busy going at it with each other, okay? And because they've been dumbed down by fluoride, they've been dumbed down through their school system, they've been dumbed down through every avenue. I mean, seriously, even in the churches they've been dumbed down. But this is the result that you get. You get these people, they're bought off, they're stuck out there to do one thing, just to get the tension stirring, okay? This stuff's all set up. It's all part of a plan. It's order out of chaos. And I'm telling you right now, that order is going, the order of the day is New World Order, okay? They are going to make things so bad here that you're going to wish for this New World Order. And that's really the point of it all. They're the ones that are persecuting you behind the scenes. And while everybody's going at it here thinking it's brother against brother, you know, and people just going at it here, they're waiting in the wings to be your saviors. And when they do, they're going to put a microchip in you, all right? And then you are going to be selling your soul for that chip, okay? That's what we're doing. And if you don't take that chip, you are not going to be a part of their system. They built this system for you. You are living in Satan's territory. The whole earth is Satan's territory, okay? We're not here because we were just some wonderful people and the Lord just wanted to see how we were going to live out our days here. We were put here for a reason, okay? To learn a lesson. And in this life, you had to find your way back to the Father through Jesus Christ. Okay? But we are in Satan's territory. And if you want to continue to be a part of the system that he has set up for you, you're going to have to take a microchip. Now, I'm not taking a microchip. And there are a lot of people that aren't. But there are Christians that will. They're not being taught. They don't know anything. In fact, I know I'm off topic, but there's a guy, I wonder if I got his name's Carl Sanders. Carl Sanders. And you can find his testimonies online. And the thing is with this Carl Sanders is he was the guy that invented the RFID chip. Okay? And he said, honestly, he never saw a problem with it. It had so many good points as he was making this chip. But he woke up. The Lord woke him up. And now he speaks out against it. And He divulges things about it that you might not know. So, you know, if you look up Carl Sanders, he's got some interviews online. He's an older man, and he has the in on that. Okay, now I got to get back over to what I'm talking about so I don't run out of time. So now we're talking about the pale horse. It's persecution of the saints. Okay, and now we're going to go on to the next verse, verse 12. Oh, I'm going to finish reading about the persecution of the saints right here. We're going to go to verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of God and for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Lord, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell in the earth? And white robes, remember, white raiment, white robes, white garments means righteousness, okay? And white, pure righteousness, okay, were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season, until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. So this is martyrdom following the pale horse, okay? And those prayers of the saints that we read about a couple chapters back, and the prayers of the saints, this is it right here. How long, O Lord? How long do you not judge them? Okay? Because everything has to play itself out for a specific period of time. Okay, verse 12, it says, And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake. And the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. Okay, let's go to Matthew 24 again. And we're going to scoot down to verse 29. It says, Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Okay. Now, one more thing. If you go to Joel 2:31 in your Old Testament, I'm trying to look for Joel. Right, I've got so many bookmarked pages here. Okay, Joel is before Amos. Joel 2:31. It's identical to Acts 2:20. These are both the same. One is the prophecy, and one is the spoken, the word of knowledge based on that prophecy. Okay, so Joel 2:31 says, if I get on the right page, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood before that great and terrible day of the Lord come. What's that day of the Lord? The day of the Lord is the day of the Lord's wrath. Everything's going dark. Okay? Everything. Okay, now, if we go to Isaiah 13:10 real quick. I told you, by the time you get done with me, your Bible is going to be wore out. Isaiah 13:10 says, now let's go to verse 9. We'll start there. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. And he shall destroy the sinners, therefore, out of it. He's taking the sinners, okay? He ain't coming here to rapture you out. He's taking the sinners out of it. Verse 10, For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not give her light to shine. Okay? And you can continue reading there if you want about the Lord's wrath, about how he will punish the world for their evil and wickedness and their iniquity, okay? But anyway, I'm just showing you there's several chapters throughout the Bible talking about the earth becoming dark. There's also this thing, I don't know if this is a Catholic thing or what this is, but people always talk about the 3 days of darkness. Some people claim that it's a prophecy. Some people claim that this has been revealed to them. And I don't know. I'm in the air on that. But they keep talking about this 3 days of darkness thing. So you might want to research that if you're interested in that. Also, when we looked at going back to Revelation 6 again, before we got to that, it said, and there was a great earthquake, okay, in verse 12, before it says the sun became black as sackcloth. Okay, some people believe that, okay, first of all, let me just say, when you go to Genesis 10:25, even when you go to 1 Chronicles 1:19, it talks about the earth being divided back in the days of Peleg. Okay? That means this world was one landmass, and it was during his time. There's two references to land masses being all busted up, okay, to what we have today with our continents. So, anyway, just in case you want to know about that, because I think in the Bible it also says that all the land masses are going to come back together again, okay, which is another interesting thing. So, anyway, you might want to put that, you might want to check that out. Also, let's go to verse 13. It says, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth, even as a fig tree casteth her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. Okay, first of all, the stars of heaven falling to the earth are not the asteroids, okay, that's later. The stars falling to the earth, these are entities, okay? This isn't twinkle, twinkle, little star here. And I'm going to show you, if we go to Matthew 24:29. Now I keep trying to bookmark that page, but I keep getting, okay. And it says, immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Okay? These are entities coming down, okay? Just like in the days of Noah. Okay? Seriously. Okay, so now, these stars of heaven, real quick, if you look at Isaiah 13:10, I hope I don't run out of time on this thing. 13:10, for the stars of heaven and the constellations therefore shall not give their light, the sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. Okay, for the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof. Okay, here it would appear to be twinkle, twinkle, little star in Isaiah 13:10, but now when we look at, I'm going to show you how stars are not always stars. If you look at Revelation 12:4, it talks about, jumping ahead, Revelation 12:4, looking at stars. When it talks about Satan, and this is a whole different topic altogether, but I'm showing you that stars are not always stars. It says, and his tail, talking about the dragon, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and did cast them to the earth. Okay? This is, remember, Lucifer in the heavens took a third of the angels. Okay? That's what it's talking about. They are referred to as stars. Okay. Now, let's jump back over to Revelation 6. Oh, before I go there, it mentions the fig tree and the figs, where we just read. It said the second half of verse 13, her untimely, even as a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. We are the fig tree generation. Where you find that parable will be in Luke 13. Luke 13, 6 through 9. Real quickly, it says, Jesus said, he spoke this parable. A certain man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard, and he came and sought the fruit thereon and found none. And then he said unto the dresser of his vineyard, behold, these 3 years I came seeking fruit on this fig tree, and find none. Cut it down. Why cumbereth it to the ground? And he answering saith unto him, Lord, let it alone this year also, till I shall dig about it and dung it. And if it bear fruit, well, and if not, then after that thou shalt cut it down. We're the fig tree generation, okay? We're the generation of Christians that are not bearing any fruit, okay? But once you're tried through the fire, which is the tribulation that you're going through, you will either bear fruit or you're going to go the other way. Okay, so that is because the tribulation, like I said, is the refiner's fire. The bride is not ready for Jesus Christ. We're looking around the falling away. We are seeing it now. And so he's coming back for a spotless bride. He's not coming back for a dirty bride. And we are that generation. We are a fig tree generation. Okay, back to Revelation 6. I'm going to move on. And it says, verse 14, and the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. Some people believe planet Nibiru. Okay, this is what they're thinking. And it's possible. It's possible that its first passing was in the days of Peleg. It's true that under the Arctic Ocean that they are finding palm trees, that it was once a tropical area. So, if the land masses are all coming back together again, that may be a part of this planet Nibiru. The Bible also says, I don't have the scripture in front of me right now, but you could look it up. It says that the earth is going to rock to and fro like a drunkard. They say that this tail on planet Nibiru is something like 12,000 miles long or something of debris that follows it, where it would drastically affect this planet and kill quite a few people coming through, most of it. Okay. Verse 15, and the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, every free man, hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. It's the Lord's wrath, the day of the Lord. Okay, verse 17, for the day of his wrath is come, who shall be able to stand? Okay, so the elite may not have been affected so much when the black horse came out, or even when that pale, deadly horse came out. But they are affected now, because when the day of the Lord arrives, they will be very fearful. Everyone will be fearful of the day of the Lord. Anyway, down below, I'm going to put a link to that YouTube video. It's only like 2 minutes long, and at the very end, you see this white horse and a rider, like a ghost, going through the crowd. And it was on a legitimate news channel. Okay, I did see one debunking for it, and I'm not convinced that it was debunked. This looks very real. Also, I hope that picture with Obama riding on the horse is in here. If not, I'm putting a link to that down below. He was on the cover of a Newsweek magazine with a bow and arrow, and with the bow on a white horse conquering, and they were making light of it. or maybe they know something we don't, because Rupert Murdoch, I believe, owns that magazine. I think that's one of his published magazines. Anyway, and he's in the know, definitely. Okay, so here we have it. I hope you learned something here. It seemed kind of rushed. I didn't want to go past my 1 hour mark here. And so here we go. The 4 horses of the apocalypse. This is kind of a brief summary of what we're about to really get into when we get into chapter 7 and we move beyond. It's just amazing the things, and we're already seeing it, okay? We're already seeing it in front of us. Also, real quick, you know, people are looking for signs from this Scofield. And I'm telling you right now that those signs that they're looking for aren't going to happen. Okay? It was put there as a disguise for people to be looking in one direction when things are really happening in the other. For example, the third temple. They're looking for a third temple. They've already changed all the other Bibles to reflect that in Matthew 9, and it does not exist. There's not going to be another temple on the Temple Mount. That mosque is there, and they're not going to take it down and build a temple. So, anyway, and I know people, they get all, you know, messed up over that. They did build a third temple, but we missed it. Because I told you, like Jonathan Kleck's channel, he explains this perfectly. The twin towers, the 2 twins also represent 2 strands of DNA. When they took them down and put One World Freedom Tower, when they did that, that was representative of the 2 becoming one, okay? That your body is a temple, well, that was the temple that was erected. It was in New York City. Also, if you look at the panes of glass going around it, it's long cut pyramids, upside down, right side up, as above, so below. Okay, that's all occult. Everything having to do with that One World Freedom Tower. Okay, and that is their stand that they have conquered. Okay, also I was talking about Libertas, Statue of Liberty. Okay, that was never meant for your liberty, okay? That's not liberty to you. That is their liberty from the Lord God, and that is really what she represents there in the water. Anyway, I might do another video before I leave, something that's kind of off topic, and when I come back in a couple of weeks, I'll be doing Revelation 7. So if you still want to send comments or get emails, feel free to do that. At nighttime, I'll be able to send responses, and but I won't be making videos for 2 weeks. Anyway, I hope you learned something here. I hope this wasn't too confusing for you. I know it's getting late here, and anyway, be blessed.